there's anywhere we could take this, right? But let's just start with the basics. The US government and its military-industrial complex, or the defense-industrial base, how modern is it in the scheme of everything Ted and we just discussed on the show?
It's getting more modern, I would say. The reality is that today the defense industrial base is still quite traditional. And you can look at the recent strikes on Iran as a perfect example of that. Yes, we know that fifth-generation fighters escorted B-2 bombers to Iran to drop the bombs. Maybe those were F-35s, but there were likely some F-22s in there as well. Those F-22 jets and the B-2 bombers were operationally deployed first in 1997. So a lot of American military capability is actually quite old.
Quite old, and I'm looking at what the DoD $961 billion budget for the fiscal year starting on October the 1st actually looks like. I mean, I'm sure you've read through the 75-page procurement request at the moment, but almost $5 billion is going to be spent on B-21 stealth bomber production. There's going to be 37 THAAD missiles. There's going to be 24 Air Force F-35s. Tara, when you go through that 75-page report, is there enough of the new tech that we're talking about, the supply chain that you're analysing?
There's definitely still not enough. This is one of the major imperatives for U.S. national security right now, is the need for modernizing these weapon systems and platforms, these major capabilities. And this is what so much of the defense tech industry, the companies that you were just referring to, Govini, Palantir, Anduril, have been clamoring for in Washington, D.C., which is the department is spending huge amounts of money trying to sustain these legacy platforms. More than 70% of the entire cost of a jet, for example, or a submarine is spent during its sustainment phase. The United States needs modern capabilities not just to effectively fight war, but in order to be able to afford the wars that we need to deter and win.
You just said you are going to the administration, you're going into government lobbying, saying this needs to change. Just talk to us with the data with which you're able to provide. I'm sort of fascinated with what ARC is doing, Govini's defense acquisition software platform. What does it tell you? What does it show?
It shows quite a bit. So defense acquisition software is really designed to replace the incredibly manual processes that the department uses today to manage the life cycle of these weapon systems and platform. So cradle to grave, how you design these systems through their sustainment and their modernization, managing parts and managing suppliers. Today, somewhat unbelievably, the United States DoD does that primarily in spreadsheets. A lot of people are involved in what are very slow processes. And software, and especially AI-driven software like ARC can really accelerate those processes. The other really important piece of ARC is the integrated data set that exists in the software. And this is Govini's proprietary data set, which gives DoD visibility into these global supply chains down to the part level, down to raw materials and microelectronics. And this is essential in order to come up with the modern kinds of systems that we need and make them resilient and available for the warfighter.
Really quick, we just have 30 seconds. On the other side of the table, is this government and this Pentagon better on the procurement side?
It's trying to be. So we've seen executive orders on defense acquisition. We've seen calls to enforce the Federal Acquisition Streamlining Act, which mandates that government agencies buy commercial first, especially software, instead of taking on failed IT development projects. What we need to see now is, will those policy decisions, will that guidance be implemented? If implementation can happen, we will see tremendously positive results.